Hello everybody. Today I want to dive deep into a reality that is as painful as it is pervasive, something I call the toxic family inheritance trap. I've spent a lot of time listening to people in forums, and it seems like a common thread is the internal struggle over inheritance. Many feel they might deserve some form of compensation for the years of pain they've endured. But if we look at the patterns, we might see that when a parent passes away, that inheritance can become a final point of control. If you decide to go no contact to protect your dignity, it can feel like you're forfeiting something you've already paid for with your emotional health. But once you value and respect yourself, you might find that you naturally lose the desire to play those toxic games. You might find yourself leaning toward low contact or grey rocking, especially if there's still some level of dependency. In some families, these topics on inheritance are discussed openly, but for the black sheep, those conversations often happen behind closed doors. You might notice, as I have, that the family seems to operate in sync, even when they aren't all in the same room. It often suggests that the narcissistic parent is communicating with siblings in a way that keeps everyone aligned against you. This can leave you in a position where everyone else knows the plan, while you are left guessing. Sometimes it's even used as an explicit threat, a way to keep you compliant. They don't just stop wanting to control you because you grew up. They often use the will as their final opportunity to do so. I've seen many people suggest that they'll just play it cool or stay under the radar to avoid upsetting the apple cart. However, looking at the experiences shared in our community, this often leads to a lose-lose outcome. You might spend years sacrificing your identity only to find that the will has stipulations designed to keep you under the thumb of a sibling. If a golden child or an abusive sibling is left in control of the resources, they might not be very kind. In many cases, siblings use the parent's instructions as a shield to justify unfair treatment. They'll say they are just honoring the parent's wishes as a way to hide their own desire to see you in a lesser role. I've read countless accounts of siblings who, once the parent is gone, become the primary oppressor. Without the parent there to at least pretend to play fair, the golden child often settles old scores using the inheritance as a weapon. If the respect isn't there now, it likely won't appear later. While your mental health might feel an immediate sense of relief when a toxic parent passes, your low position in the family hierarchy might stay the same or even feel more intense. This is why so many people emphasize the importance of focusing on your own life. It takes so much energy just to exist in an abusive system, and we have to ask ourselves if we were meant for more than just being subservient. Many therapists who do research on narcissistic families suggest that the identified patient or scapegoat is often the healthiest member because they are the only ones willing to see the truth. I've also noticed that a lot of people feel a sense of shame for pursuing the inheritance. They feel like it makes them selfish. But I think it's important to acknowledge that this isn't about greed. It's about a desire for balance. When you've been drained emotionally and physically for years, it's natural to want something to help you rebuild. However, we have to look at the source. If the source of the money is the same source of the pain, that money comes with a tax of more pain. I've seen people describe it as soul sacrifice. They realize that every dollar they might get is tied to another year of being abused. When you look at it that way, the greed disappears and is replaced by a clear-eyed calculation. Is this payout worth the cost? Most of the time, when we are honest with ourselves, we see that the price is far too high. I've read so many stories from people who realized that they didn't need the material things as much as the narcissist did. As the black sheep, you are often someone who finds value in genuine experiences and internal self-respect. Narcissists, on the other hand, often rely on external validation. This difference is actually a great strength. Because of your personality, you may actually find it easier to manage life without their material help than they expect. You have a high self-esteem that doesn't need external things to validate your existence. For those who are currently dependent, I know how difficult it is to try and individuate while dealing with invalidation. Many have found that managing the situation through grey rocking, staying neutral and emotionally detached, is a helpful way to survive while building a foundation elsewhere. It seems that building relationships and opportunities outside the family system is one of the most effective ways to protect your future. I want to make it clear, the goal is not to forfeit what you could potentially receive. The goal is to prepare yourself mentally for the possibility of being invalidated through the inheritance and to reconsider some of the sacrifices you are currently making to maintain peace in the dysfunctional family. If you are in a position where you have to play along for survival, it helps to remember that you are doing it for a purpose, to protect yourself from further abuse. I'm not suggesting anyone should just survive. We all want to thrive, but it helps to see material assets as tools for utility rather than markers of our worth. Even if a parent is gone, the family setup often remains constant. That's why being proactive and building your own tribe is so frequently recommended. When you're feeling depressed, the instinct is to isolate, but that's often exactly what the family system wants. Reaching out to friends, a counselor, or even a sympathetic relative can provide a perspective that the toxic system works hard to hide. I have noticed that in forums, people who break that isolation often find the strength they didn't know they had. They realize that the crazy label the family gave them was just a way to invalidate their perspective. When you talk to people outside that system, you start to see that you were never the problem. You also have to be prepared for the smear campaign. In many of the experiences I've observed, once you stop playing the game, the family will try to invalidate you to everyone else. They might use your depression or your reactions to their abuse as proof that you are unstable. But as long as you are keeping your mental health in check and building your external support system, their words lose their sting. You are no longer performing for them, so their reviews don't matter. Some people find comfort in the ideas of family systems experts like Murray Bowen, who talk about individuation, the process of becoming your own person despite the family's pressure. It suggests that the family might actually fight your growth because they need you to stay in that scapegoat role. When you look at it that way, the inheritance trap seems like a way to prevent you from ever truly becoming independent. This reflects the sentiment shared by many in the community that you cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. If you can't leave yet, being strategic might just mean being like a ghost. You do your work, you keep your goals to yourself, and you build your own safety net in silence. This isn't about being deceptive, it's about protecting your dreams from people who might want to sabotage them. If you build your life as if the inheritance doesn't exist, they lose their ability to pull your strings. Ultimately, this seems to be about reclaiming your self-respect. It's about deciding that your peace of mind isn't for sale. When you take that power back, the system loses its strongest hold on you. You are left with your integrity, which, as I and many others have found, is the real inheritance. You are taking back the years and finally deciding that your destiny is yours to write. When you see the patterns, you realize that your body is telling you what your mind is trying to ignore, that this environment is poisonous. Protecting your peace is a literal act of health and survival. Most black sheep don't need external things to make them happy. Because you have this personality, you are able to manage life much easier without these people's help or material things. In my observations, the people who thrive the most after leaving a toxic family are the ones who stop looking back for validation. They realize that the parents' will is just a piece of paper, but their own will to live a good life is what truly matters. They stop asking, "Why did they do this to me?" and start asking, "What am I going to do for myself?" That shift in perspective is everything. I've heard so many people describe the moment they finally let go of the hope for an inheritance as the moment they truly felt like an adult for the first time. They realized they didn't need the parents' permission to exist or to be successful. That realization is more valuable than any bank account. It's a form of wealth that can't be taxed and can't be taken away by a jealous and insecure sibling. It's the wealth of a clear conscience and a quiet mind. We should also consider how the narcissist uses the unknown to keep us in line. They might never explicitly tell you what is in the will, but they drop hints. They talk about how some people are going to be taken care of and others might have a harder time. This ambiguity is intentional. It keeps you in a state of anxiety where you feel you have to perform just in case. It's a form of gambling where the house always wins. If you see this pattern, you might realize that the only way to win is to stop playing the game entirely. As we close this discussion, I want to encourage you to keep observing. Keep noticing the patterns. Don't let the guilt or the pressure of family loyalty cloud your judgment. True loyalty is a two-way street, and if they aren't loyal to your well-being, you don't owe them your presence. Trust yourself. Trust what you've seen over the last 20 or 30 years. It hasn't lied to you yet. You are not the black sheep because you are bad. You are the black sheep because you are the one who saw the truth. Remember, you are not alone. There are thousands of us out here who have walked this path or are walking it right now. You have all the strength you need inside you. Take care of yourselves, stay strategic, and always protect your peace. There is a whole world waiting for you on the other side of that trap. Go find it. You've earned it.